it's really fascinating to hear you recount the early parts of your career. We see like a demographic shift where it seems like people of your generation had higher esteem for public service and saw that as sort of something to do earlier in the career. Whereas now you talk to young people, the first thing is, let me get a big tech job. Do you have any thoughts why more young people today in the aviation sector, considering that aviation is so highly regulated, why aren't they pursuing careers in politics or policy more readily? And how do we get those talented people to consider the sector first?
Yeah, I think, it's interesting. There were people, I was 4 years old when I saw JFK, but there were people who worked in the Peace Corps back in the 60s. And I remember several interviews with some of those people, and some I got to meet later. And they said, "Why did you do that?" And they said, "Well, the president asked me to." And it was sort of like that. And people were inspired to do those kind of things. And I do think that it was a time when there were a lot of very basic issues that were, like I said, civil rights and the war in Vietnam and a lot of other things, that were going on. I think that, and in 1973 during Watergate, I remember there was a witness, Gordon Strachan, somebody like that. You can look it up. But they asked him if he would recommend to young people they go into politics and government. He said no. And so this isn't the first time we've had this, right? I think part of the problem is that people think to go into politics and government, you have to be more ideological. Shasta, you mentioned my first boss, J. Bennett Johnston, a great senator, not well known. He loved to play tennis. And so he played tennis with Ted Kennedy. He played tennis with Paul Laxalt, who was Ronald Reagan's best friend in the Senate. He played tennis with everybody, and you get to know each other. It's hard to hate or assign nefarious motives to people if you know their spouse's name, their kid's name, their dog's name. And we don't have that anymore. And I think young people look at politics today and just feel like it's this camp and that camp, and they don't want to get involved in that. I realize I'm talking to two of the smartest younger people I know here, and I may be telling you things you already know, but I really think that's a problem. And so, you see people ascribing these motives, and you feel like you have to go into this camp. And I really believe that expertise is not well valued right now in our politics. Because if I give you a fact that is an undeniable fact, the sky is blue or whatever, you can find somebody who agrees with your worldview who will tell you no, that's false, right? And there's a lack of, I think, respect for expertise. There's a feeling you have to be ideological to go into politics and government. So I think a lot of smart young people are saying, "The heck with that! I don't want to fit into that. I want to go do something else." And over here you got tech jobs or whatever, and things are happening there. Oh, by the way, I can set my own schedule. They have a lot more flexibility, and I can have the kind of lifestyle I want instead of, I have to, be in one place for 12 hours a day, 6 days a week or something, so that they can be flexible. So, I think all those things combined.